Most motorcycle trips don't fail on the road. They fail before the engine even starts. In this video, I'm gonna tell you why. Welcome back. I know a few people who went on a long trip and then stopped traveling altogether. Usually, it is exactly the opposite. Once you try it, you're hooked forever. So what went wrong and what did they make such a drastic decision? It is a good question, isn't it? It might sound confusing, but if we look deeper, the real reasons start to appear. You might think that it went wrong because of this or that person, this or that situation, but the truth is that you're the only person who is responsible for the whole good or bad experience. In the next few minutes, I'll try to point you out the most common reasons that you need to be careful about. Number one, poor planning or no planning at all. I don't know how many times I have talked about this in my videos, but it looks like it is never enough. In my opinion, traveling without any plans is only possible locally or if you're some kind of bored millionaire seeking entertainment. Poor planning will lead to critical mistakes that might cost you a lot. Not only money, but also time, health, and even your life. This can turn your trip from a pleasant ride into hard survival days. No planning at all will speed up this process and almost guarantee a poor outcome. So you basically sabotage yourself. I don't see any logic in this, and I don't understand what some people are trying to prove. Number two, wrong company. I know that many won't understand this right now, but if you don't have any motorcycle travel experience, it is often better and safer to start your trip alone than with the wrong company. On long trips, people change, especially if the group is more than 2 people. You will almost always prefer the company of one person over another. Over time, this becomes more noticeable, especially if the person you don't like much starts making some mistakes. Of course, some compromises will be made, but for how long? A day, 2, or a week? Sooner or later, you or the other person will say the things out loud. And then what? You will stay calm and suppress your ego, or you will reply back. Once the argument starts, I don't think that they will ever stop. The ice will become thinner and thinner until it finally breaks. This experience can stay into your mind and even force you to stop traveling altogether. You might start thinking that this motorcycle traveling is just not for you, but hey, you planted this time bomb right from the beginning, before you even start the trip. So what did you expect? Miracles? Number 3, the wrong reasons for going. I will become a famous YouTuber like Ichibuz or whoever your favorite motorcycle traveler is, and I will earn a lot of money. Well, you might, but also might not. Anyway, in both cases, good luck to you. If you start with the wrong reasons, you have to live with them day after day, week after week, month after month. And this might lead to some serious disappointments. Or, as they say, if you plan to fly, make sure that you have a parachute, because the landing is not gonna be soft. Which brings me to the next point. Number 4, wrong expectations. Popularity on social media, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok is something that many of you still believe that it will come automatically as soon as you start traveling. You will expect followers, comments, likes. Sponsors will knock on your door almost every day. What a fantastic life! I don't want to sound like a dream killer, but the chances of all of this happening are very little, and I definitely wouldn't bet on it. If you don't have any expectations, you wouldn't have many disappointments. If this sounds familiar, it's because most people don't talk about these things honestly. That's exactly why I created my new online course, Adventure Riding Without Illusions. To go deeper into expectations, mindset and the real side of long-distance motorcycle traveling. Link in the description down below. Number 5. Miscalculated budget. This is another problem that many people still underestimate. Phrases like "I will find a solution later" don't work. You have to be ready in advance for what's coming. This is all part of the advanced planning that I mentioned in point number 1. Mathematics is an exact science. 2 plus 2 will always be 4. You will also have one very big X or unknown cost that might become real at every point of your journey. Changes in the weather or road conditions might force you to ride more than expected. Also, health problems or accidents can drain your budget very fast. Number 6. Mental and physical fatigue. These are usually highly underestimated when you're still at home. Most famous YouTubers never talk about these things in their vlogs. If you listen to them, every day is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, traveling by motorcycle was one of the best decisions that I ever made, but that's me. And not everyone has the same mindset. Physical fatigue is also something that many people are not prepared. I'm not saying that it is extremely hard. After all, it's a trip, not a Dakar rally. But it still requires a certain level of endurance. In many days, you'll be forced to ride for many hours, 8, 10, 12 or more hours. And you have to be ready for all of this one way or another. And here you may say, oh, listen, Pavlin, I'm not like you, I will ride 2-3 hours and stop. Fair enough, but sometimes you're not gonna have this chance because there is nothing around, no hotels, no place to eat, not even possible to open your tent. So you have to ride one way or another. I don't know what you're talking about. When I'm tired, I can always open my tent, I have my stove, I have my food, I'm fully independent, I don't mind what kind of conditions there are. Well, it's not exactly like that. It might be very cold, it might be extremely hot, or you might be in a bare country where it's very dangerous to open your tent. All of these things are happening to me. That's why I am sharing this experience with you. If you're not ready for what is coming, it can turn into a nightmare and will leave you with an experience that you will never want to have again. Number 7. Loss of motivation. It is very easy to be motivated when you sit at home in comfort in front of your computer, but it is completely different story when you're out there alone in a cold and rainy days and nothing goes as planned. Let me tell you an interesting story. A few years ago, I was riding in Pamir highway in Tajikistan. One night we had to stay in a local guest house. It was nothing special, just a room in someone's house. There was no door, only a curtain. While we were unpacking, the curtain slowly moved and a round and sunburned face stared at us. He asked very slowly, "Do you speak English?" And I said, "Yes, what can I do for you?" And he said, "Oh man, thank you God, finally someone to speak my language, it is such a nightmare," and all of this stuff. I said, hold on, tell me what is happening. And turned out that he was a bank manager who left Switzerland with a bicycle to ride it on the Pamir highway. And he was so disappointed. He said, "Oh man, all of this dust and all of these trucks and this gravel and sands everywhere, I completely burned it out. I started 3 days ago and I am still nowhere. I will quit. I will go home tomorrow. I just cannot handle it anymore." And I said, "Listen man, it's not that bad. Yeah, you almost done it." And he said, "Almost? There are still more 1,000 kilometers. I have done only 100 kilometers. I cannot do anymore. I will go home." Then we spent a few more hours. I was trying to convince him to stay there. He drank some of our handmade alcohol, and I explained to him that you don't need to think about the whole journey. You just need to survive one more day, and you can always give up tomorrow. And I said to him, "Stay here for 2-3 days, get some strength, but eat well, and then eventually you can continue one more day. If it's still that bad, you can stop it. But you need to survive only one day." Because if you remember, you were in Switzerland, you were sitting in your desk and you were planning this adventure, right? You spent all this money and efforts to come here to have this wonderful experience, and now you're complaining. As I said before, you set a time bomb before you even start the trip. That's why it's so important to know all of these things in advance. To make the long story short, finally I convinced this guy to stay and continue further. I don't know what he has done after that. Maybe he quit, maybe he continued. I really have no idea. But the takeaway from this story is things are very different when you're out there. And it is very easy to lose motivation, especially if your expectations are wrong. Number 8, loneliness. My wife always says that I'm perfectly fine by myself, and she's right. I don't have any problems to stay alone, but I'm also fine in any company. But you might be different. And if you have never experienced it before, the loneliness might be very difficult for you and even discourage you from traveling in the future. Remember, everything is in your hands. you have the power to enjoy or ruin any trip. In the end, it should be a pleasure. If you think that you won't enjoy it, it is better not to start it at all. Be honest with yourself, don't set goals that you cannot complete and enjoy the process. You can learn a lot from a bad trip if you only have the will to do it again. There is a phrase saying that everything that doesn't kill us makes us stronger. See you in the next video. Ciao!